All right. Am I live? Yep, I am live. All right. Let's get started. Do, 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 do. I can't really sing. I just make noises. Well, welcome to my channel. This stream I will be doing Japanese loop braiding. So if you've not ever heard of Japanese loop braiding before, just go ahead and hit exclamation braiding, and it'll bring up a little bit of information about Japanese loop braiding. Let's see if I fix that light flickering. I think I'm going to have to put the light behind me over my right shoulder. Well, let's get started. So I expect in this stream that I will be finishing this braid, and then I have another one already prepped to go for the next one. And so we'll be loading that one up on stream. So if you're popping in and I'm moving a little fast, or you want me to stop and ask what I'm doing, you know, drop me a message and I'll be happy to slow down or go step by step on a particular step or move. So Japanese loop braiding is the original traditional method of making the laces and cording and whatnots for everything Japanese. So in the background you can see the kabuto made by a friend of mine, and you know, the armor lacing, the weapon lacings, they were all done with Japanese loop braiding. So today the traditional method of making it is called kumihimo, which is a stand and bobbin method versus the loop manipulation that I'm doing. So so I've been doing Japanese braiding for almost 15 years now. First 10 of that was doing the kumihimo, stand and bobbin. So you may end up doing a few streams of using doing that method. If you're interested in seeing the kumihimo, let me know, and I'll figure out a setup for that. And then we'll probably start out with the maridai, and then maybe even set up a camera for takadai if people are interested in that. But about 15 years ago, I got started into researching the loop braiding, because I knew that the Kumihimo standard bobbin was a post 1600s technique. You know, the exact time frame of which is you know, not quite clear, and by exact I mean somewhere to within 120 years, give or take a decade. They're not quite sure when and where the technique started. So like a lot of crafts, it's hard to pin down even a you know, a 50-year period of when stuff started. So so European and Japanese loop braiding techniques from the medieval and Renaissance periods were rediscovered in the 1970s by two ladies, Naomi Spicer, researching European, and then Masako Kinoshita, researching Japanese loop braiding. And they actually worked very closely with each other, helping each other decipher rediscovered manuals on loop braiding. So the European ones, that I think that's just loop braiding, or loop manipulation braiding is what they called it. But in the Japanese manuals, they didn't have a name for it, or at least not a name that they wrote down. And so Masako Kinoshita decided to create a term for Japanese loop braiding. So she calls it Kute-Uchi, Kute being hand and Uchi being strap. So that literally translates to hand strap. And that's something that's used for a different style of Japanese loop braiding than what you see me doing right here. So Japanese loop braiding is unique in that it is one of a few cultures that did hand strap braiding. Most cultures do what you see here, which is finger looping, but Japanese loop braiding is unique even within the hand strap part, being the only culture that did finger looping and hand strap braiding at the same time, not within the same braid, but you know, in the same time periods and side by side in the studios and stuff. So it's kind of unique. Let me go ahead and adjust these over so I can show you some of my homemade hand straps. So pretty easy, just the length of 550 cord, about 9 inches long, just enough to go around my hand like that. And so that's how the hand strap braiding goes. This is an unprepared one. I've got another one in which I've attached, basically it's a leader, so that way you attach your braiding material to the end here, and so it hangs out there. So you would, instead of being on your fingers, everything wraps around your hand, and it allows the braider to do more loops. I've seen instructions for 20 some odd loops per hand, whereas with finger looping you're limited to about 11, 12 loops, if you include your thumbs and you double up your fingers. But that can get kind of tricky, which is why for a lot of the intricate designs, you'll see that the Japanese moved to the hand straps. So what I'm working on with this braid and the next couple of braids that I'll be doing is I'm working on a tension experiment. in loop braiding itself. Not just Japanese, but a tension bug that affects all loop braiding styles. So let's see. So, but yeah, one of the things that bothers loop braiding, as you can see here as I'm getting closer to the end, is that no matter how much we try to adjust and compensate for, as you get closer to the end of your braid, the braid ends up being over tensioned and it starts shrinking very rapidly in braid width and even pattern length too. And I've discussed that in a paper on my blog, and that's actually part of my experiment. Is I want to see if it can be replicated over and over and over again, and if my fix can be replicated over and over again. So getting ready to come up on the end. So hello to the new viewer. If you're curious on what I'm doing, it's Japanese loop braiding. It's not very complicated or fancy. It just looks like it. Creates some beautiful stuff. You're gonna watch me change out braids here in a second. So I don't do anything really fancy to end these. I just tie them in an overhand knot. The ones that I'm making right now and over the next few videos aren't really for anything in particular. They're just part of some experiments. So I'm not worried about finishing techniques at the moment. So if you're curious about more about what I'm doing, just go ahead and hit the exclamation braiding. I'll take care of that. Actually, gives me a chance to rest my shoulders. Let's see if I got the right command. It might be just braid. Yeah, I think it's just braid. So this is only my second stream, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm still trying to remember all the different commands that I made. So like I said, if you got any questions, feel free to post. And if you want to see something a little bit more specific on how I'm doing something, or or if you want me to slow down so you can see, just say something, and I'll help out the best I can. Now, normally, what most braiders end up doing, because of the tension that I mentioned earlier, is that they would have stopped a few braids ago. There's probably about 2 of my pinky knuckles left of the loop, and they would have stopped a little while ago. But because of my experiment, I'm trying to go as far to the end as I can in this. So in case you missed it earlier, so what this was done for was, this is the original traditional method of making all the Japanese armor laces, weapon laces, clothing ties, you know, lashings, pretty much anything that they needed cordage or flat braids or trim for. This is how they did it. So, and unlike a lot of people would confuse this, or they call this weaving, and it's not technically weaving. It is braiding. So let's see, I think I can get 2 more in here. Maybe I can get back to my final, or to my original setup. Yeah, I think I can get back to my original setup. And, oh, come on. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and end it because I can't get my fingers in and out of there anymore. All right, and let's go ahead and turn on that other camera that you see so that you can see the pattern and you can see the braid unfold itself, or rather be folded. Let's see if I can zoom that in. Let's see. Let's see if we can focus that too. Here we go. Ah, yes, much better, much better. Let's save that. Done. If that's not big enough for you, let me know. No, I'm gonna see about adjusting that a little bit more. In the one window, it looks big enough, but when I closed that out, it didn't look like it was big enough. Oop, too far. Let's see if we can play with the focus a little bit more. There we go. All right. Let's see how that looks. There we go. So this is the pattern that I'm working on. And one of the unique things about Japanese loop braiding is that it actually causes it to fold in half. And so I have to actually unfold it to reveal the pattern. Or rather to reveal the full pattern. Let's see if I can. That might help. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ooh, just started coming out of nowhere. So, all right. So give me a second, and I'm going to go ahead and load up the next braid. Hello, welcome to the channel. So you just missed seeing the end of the last braid, but you get to watch me load up a new one. So what I'm doing is Japanese loop braiding, and it is the original traditional method of Japanese braiding to make the laces and cordage and pretty much anything that the Japanese needed to tie things down, connect things, and stuff like that. So let's see. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask. Once I get going, if I'm going a little fast, or if you want me to, just let me know to slow down, or if you want to see a particular technique, uh, let me know, and I'll be happy to stop and show how that's done. All right. Now this one, I was already warped up, so that's why I was able to swap it out so fast. So I'm going to go ahead and get these sorted real quick, and I'll get started again. So all I'm doing right now is just kind of figuring out best separation and untwisting the loops, since it's been sitting for quite a while. I had to take about a 2-month break actually from loop braiding for tennis elbow. So, and if you've never had tennis elbow, it really sucks. It really does. So, all right. So, do I have any questions from anybody? Feel free to pop in, say hello, ask a question. And if you miss what I'm doing, just let me know, and I'll try to get it a little bit better in camera. So, that one camera's in the way. I have got to figure out a better position for that one. So, yeah, the loop braiding tradition in Japan goes back, as far as they can tell, about 10,000 BC. Loop braiding is one of those universal crafts around the world. In essence, they are generally the same. The very few minor differences, the most of which is there's two major differences really in different loop braiding techniques. As you can see here, I'm doing what's called the palms facing, and then only because that's what's most comfortable for me. There's the palms up, which the Japanese did a lot of palms facing and palms up, and then there's the palms down, and after that, the next difference is the operating finger. So the Japanese like to use the pinky finger or ring finger, depending on how many loops you've got working. And So what they'll do is the pinky finger, they'll move up from the inside to the outside of the other hand, whereas the Europeans like to use the index finger generally going through the loops on the same hand and grabbing from this pinky. I'm going to take a second, see if I can't zoom this one right in the front out a little bit more. Try to get it to back out some. Give me a second to adjust the mount. No, that's still just pretty much the same. Right. All right, let's go into my editor. Turn that camera off. It's not really doing much right now. Pull that out of the way. Oh, wrong one. So, like I said, this is my second full stream. Oh, no, that's not what I want. So focus my fingers in. Oh, wrong way. Looks like the background is getting more focused. All right, let's see how that works out. Lock that back out and go to here. All right, okay. All right, who do I got watching? So my watchers, have you been with me the whole time, or do I have some new viewers? I don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over to you. If you've been here for a while, I'd be happy to talk about something else, answer any questions. Unless one of you is Ludo, in which case I know you can't respond back. And then you have to sit through listening to this over and over and over again. Oh, yes, much better. Still not happy with that focus. Well, not the actual focus, the zoom. Hello, new watcher. So what I'm doing is Japanese loop braiding. It is the original traditional method of making laces for armor, weapons, clothing ties in Japan. If you've got any questions, let me know. If you're interested in reading just a little bit more, you can type in !braid, and that's a command that's open to everybody, and it'll provide a link to my blog. So if you're watching this later on, then if you haven't guessed, that this is quite the shoulders and upper back workout here. Right now, because this is a part of an experiment, a set of experiment braids, the material is just regular embroidery thread. Let's see, I don't remember if this is DMC or if it's one of the Joanne or Michael off-brand Prism or something like that. I don't know, maybe it's a Walmart brand. So, I also do braids in silk, linen, cotton, bamboo, bamboo, and then banana fiber. I really love the banana fiber. It's very soft like silk, but not cutting like linen. Alright, I am going to give my shoulders an extended break. There we go. So the handle that I'm using is a PVC pipe cut to just about the width of my hand, a little bit shorter, and I can use it to put down the loops, because without a hand like that, once you get started, you're pretty much tied in until you're done. So for us modern sedentary folk, you know, it's something that we have to take into account. We have, you know, lives, family, work, that kind of stuff. So and what's nice is that I can actually adjust. You can't see it in the camera. Well, here, I can roll down a little bit. So these are my helping hands, and I can angle it. I can change the angle to be a bit more flat or a little steeper. As the braid gets longer and you lose more of your loops, you have to angle this a little bit more and more that way, so that you can get even tension across all three. Otherwise, this is tight and this is all saggy loose. So, and then I can rotate it forward, back to adjust the tension so that I can maintain good tension across the whole braid. Costs about $10 or so. You can go to the box store and go to the box store, get a couple of the 2-foot sections. There we go. Keep that nice and tight. So let's see. I could take a little bit of time and show a better view of the braid I was working on earlier. Hi, Messina. Yay! How are you doing? So what I'm doing now is because the flat braids, a lot of the flat braids in Japanese braiding, they actually will curl on them. So they'll braid curled in, and so you have to actually stop and flatten them. And so I like to, basically I call it massaging the braid. You're just kind of rolling it over on itself. Here, let's see if I can adjust. Yeah, I'm going to fix that auto zoom right there so it stops trying to go in and out. Oh, that is definitely the wrong way. I'll stop it. Seriously? All right. Looks like it doesn't want to stop. I'm gonna have to dig into this program and see if I can't get it to stop doing that. So, all right. Well, like I said, this is my second stream, so I'm still playing with settings and stuff. Like I said earlier, basically what I'm doing right now is massaging that curl out. Another method that can be done, especially to help make this flat more permanent and to kind of help reset that fiber memory, is to steam it. You could probably use like a steam iron with a good steam setting. Turn it down low, steam it up real good, and then turn the temp up a little bit and iron it flat. Unless, of course, you want to go traditional old school and basically get a pot of boiling water and just kind of hang the braid over it and let it kind of steam up and warm up. So here we go. And there is that pattern. Another one. This is one where it's a little easier to see the pattern on. It's been nice and flat for a while. This is a soap bamboo blend. Excuse me, from Patron. That's a brand of yarn. You used to be able to find the soap bamboo blend in Joann's and Michael's a lot. Not so much lately. It's been getting kind of hard to find in the store. As far as I know, it's still available online. I haven't had a buy any in a while because I bought like a dozen of each color. So, and this is one of the first DMC floss that I've done as part of this experiment. And then this is, oh gosh, this one is probably a good 4 years old. This is again, this is another, some more of the DMC, or not the DMC, the patent uh, silk bamboo blend. Come on, if you're gonna autofocus, there we go. Right there. So still just taking a little break for my shoulders and my back and my neck. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Other than that, let's see. Oh, wrong box. It works if I put my cursor in the typey box. So let's see. Was it SM? There we go. So, you know, check out my Twitter. The Twitter account is eclectic. It's gonna start carrying more of my braiding and painting stuff, but it's also where I do a lot of my sports and trading card hobbies and other things. So there's a lot of things on that one. My Instagram, that is all painting, Gundam, and braiding. And then the bottom there is my braiding blog. So I do have a YouTube channel. It's under Kute-Uchi Revival. And you can find the link for that under my blog website. I'll need to sit down and maybe add it to my social media link. So, hello, new viewer. Who are you? And just taking a short break from the braiding process, kind of giving my shoulders and back a little rest. Do you have any questions? You curious about what's going on, or interested in seeing anything in particular? So in the background you can see I do have a kabuto made by my friend Messina's husband. He studied in Japan under some master armorers, so he knows what he's doing, and he laced this up with the is it the lace by the foot, or not lace by the foot, braid by the foot, or is it the hockey laces, Messina? So if you're curious, Messina also does the Japanese loop braiding as well as the European loop braiding, and she makes some beautiful braids. She is a much better braider than I am. I consider myself more of the researching side of things versus the actual doing and making pretty things. So I am more of the experimental archaeologist than the crafter. So still learning. Well, your actual technique is better than mine. I will put it that way. So, yeah, so the Japanese loop braiding is the original traditional method of doing the armor laces, weapon laces, clothing ties. So it kind of fell out of favor in the post 1600s. It was replaced by a technique called kumihimo, which is a stand-in bobbin. And if folks are interested in seeing that, I can do that at a later date on some streams. I've been doing Japanese braiding for about 15 years now. The first 10 was doing kumihimo, and the last 5 has been a deep dive, deep research into the Japanese loop braiding. So, all right, I am going to grab a drink of coffee. So, seriously, it's kind of hard to keep repeating over and over to the same 2 viewers who've been with me for a while. So if you've got any questions, please, please, please ask. Um, you know, even if it's just a small comment. If I'm going too fast, you know, let me know. I can slow down so you can better see what it is that I'm doing. If you want to see a very specific part of what I'm doing, let me know too. So right now I'm just doing a bunch of experimental braids and doing a tension experiment for loop braiding in general, not just Japanese loop braiding, but some things that are, uh, um, you know, just different tension techniques that affect loop braiding in general, regardless of type or culture. Um, I don't know if you would actually see this particular braid on armor, this braid pattern. I mean, I'm sure they might have used it as a tie somewhere, maybe as part of the frog. Um, let's see how they would use it. Um, Places to go to see that. Ooh. Oh, you had to ask that, didn't you, Messina? There is a book that was written and published in the 1970s, and then immediately went out of production. But it is actually a really great uh, resource on the. It's actually the most comprehensive resource I've seen on what they used the laces for. It didn't really go into what kind of laces got used with what kind of things. You know, oh, this lace was used with clothing, and this kind of lace was used with armor. It didn't go into that depth, but it did tell you things like, you know, your clothing ties. It had a section on how they laced up their archery quivers. Um, so um, let's see how they would use the braids. Basically, anything that you can think of that needed a cord, that's where they would have used these braids. This particular braid pattern, you know, it's a 7 loop, open closed flat braid. Uh, I don't know if there's anything very specific that it was used for. Um, I kind of get the feeling that probably was just a general purpose braid. Um, Nothing very specific about this one. Um, why can I still not think of the name of that book? I'll have to. Um, yeah, Messina. A lot of times, a lot of these braids um, were just general purpose. You know, very few of them were actually uh, purpose-made braids. Um, you know, there's a couple of temple braids, and you know those were used for tying temple scrolls closed. Um, you generally didn't see them used for very much outside of that. Now, whether that was intentionally that way or whether or not it was done that way because we've only found examples of that, we don't know. You know, there's a couple of braids that you see mostly in armor. One of them is the one that you're working on. the and I'm brain farting again. I need more caffeine. Hold on. So the tortoiseshell braid, that's one that you'll see a lot of times on weapons and armor. Um, so it's really hard to find specific examples of, or rather specific braids in specific items outside of weapons, armor, and scrolls, because generally those were the items that got the most well preserved. And the other examples, we know they existed because we can see scroll paintings, um, and there's statues, so we know they were used outside of those things, but preservation, the fiber arts is one of the first things to go. So it's really hard to find very specific items showing these kind of things. It's why technically we don't really know how they sewed Japanese clothing together. Combination of materials falling apart, and well, they like to take the clothing apart to wash them, so we don't know for sure how they sewed the clothing together. One of the ways we could do that is that they found a temple stash that's been sealed since before 1600. So does anybody else have any questions? Anything? All right, I'm going to go ahead and do a few more minutes of braiding. Excuse me, my nose itches. So I'm going to do a few more minutes of braiding. Like I said, if you got any questions, feel free to ask. If you need me to slow down, ask. I'm curious to know if that viewer that I keep getting popping in and out is the same person, or if it's a different person that you're just popping in, seeing a new fiber art video and popping out. So as I was talking about earlier with Messina, this is just a simple open-closed flat braid as part of my tension experiment. So generally I've gotten to the point now where I don't even need to look at what I'm doing, but kind of helps us. There's a camera right here that I can look at to see what it is that I'm doing, and I can see my stats and stuff. I can look at you and you can see my beautiful face. The next show is actually going to be tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that was a specific request that I got. So I'm going to go do that again. And outside of that, my next loop braiding show will be tomorrow at 10, and most likely either tonight or tomorrow morning you'll get to see me do a prepping for a braid, measuring out and setting up the braid. So I am still trying to, if you're interested in miniature painting or Gundam model building, I am doing that too. I just don't know when yet. There's a lot of good channels out there that do that, and it's not that I don't want to do it because there's a lot doing it already. It's because I watch a lot of them, and I don't want to conflict with them because one, they've got a lot of followers already, so it'd be kind of hard to kind of squeeze into that time frame, and I don't want to conflict with that. And two, I want to watch them because really I'm still just a new painter, and so I'm still getting a lot of good techniques from them. And so one of the things that why I'm doing the braiding here is to go along with some of the other stuff that I've got going on is I want to spread this art craft to others and spread the joy of how to do this and build them up, and maybe they can start doing their own channel either on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, you know, even if it's just Instagram pictures or Twitter pictures, you know, get them out there doing it, and maybe somebody else will see it and decide that they want to watch, you know, they want to watch you do it. So so if you're getting in here late, you can always catch this later. It should have recorded as a VOD, which is video on demand. So hopefully that worked out right. Otherwise, after this, I'll have to go in and play around with my setting the buttons again. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to move that op light to over my shoulder. Ludo, if you're watching and you can hear me, you know, ask your wife, what does she want to see? Does she want to see specific moves? Like just like a general how-to, you know, how to do, you know, an open move, how to do a closed move, how to do an over twist, that kind of stuff. Or does she just want to sit here and watch what I'm doing now? So, you know, just let me know, so that way I can prep the right braid for tonight. So one of the things, I haven't really talked about this one yet. So one of the things about loop braiding, and it's kind of hard to pick up on camera, is that as you go along, how far wide you spread your hands actually narrows down as you go. And then the other thing is how hard you pull towards you. So in getting good tension and a nice tight braid is hand spread and pulling towards you. So, you know, it's about 120 degrees and pull right there in hand spread. And then I've got a fairly decent pull. You know, I'm not really stretching it. So I just enough to keep everything nice and straight. So, but as the braid gets longer, you know, I'll start pulling less and less and less, and as you can see, that braid is starting to slack a little bit. It's just one of those kind of weird things that you have to make micro adjustments to as you go along. Ooh, 2 new viewers. Hello and welcome. I was just talking about just talking about tension. I hope you are here. Well, let me rephrase that. I hope you didn't get the time standards mixed up, but that's okay. I am doing Japanese loop braiding. It is the original traditional method of making Japanese laces for armor, weapons, clothing, anything that needs a cord or flat braid or flat trim. So if you've got questions, feel free to ask. If you want to learn just a little bit more about what it is that I'm doing, type in exclamation braid, and that'll bring up a link to my blog. I talk about a lot of things on there, the historical aspect of this, and you know, the some of my thoughts and stuff like that, and whatnots. So a little bit of how to do different techniques, you know, some experimental technique ideas that I've got. So, all right, time for another shoulder break. Whew, it's a good workout. Ain't that right, Messina? So, one of the things that helps, and I'm getting better about it, but still not great, is having a nice, good, straight posture. So, do a lot of leaning over. So, it should be sitting up like this. Oh, speaking of which, I've been on for an hour, and I had not seen my stretch or hydrate bot pop up. I'll have to play with that. But it is time. I do need to do a stretch on my neck. So if you haven't seen this, this is my PVC pipe extra hands. They are what allow me to put the braid down so I can drink, you know, deal with work, well, family life, that kind of stuff. So, and so it's very adjustable so that I can keep the tension going good. So, and since you can't drink coffee all the time, a little bit of water. I say water because it's mostly melted ice now. All right. Let's see if there is anybody on right now. Ooh. Alley Cat Fibers is on. Yeah. I really like it because, you know, it's super easy to make. It keeps your loops, you know, separated. You know, top shank and bottom shank. You know, it keeps it up. It's easy to make micro adjustments. You know, but I mean, whatever works for you is what, you know, is what's good. So, but all right, I have got to do a little bit more stretching and stuff for my shoulders and my neck. Um, I have some issues with neck and back, so I thought maybe taking a short break is going to help, but I need to actually do more than that. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. So there we go. So, so what I am going to do, because I'm pretty sure one of my viewers is Ludo, and he's just listening. I am going to see if I can't do this right and send you over to um, uh, Alley Cat Fiber Arts, and she does spinning and knitting. So, and she does I think she does both drop spindle and the but I know she does the spinning wheel kind. So let's see if I can do this right. What I think I'm going to, I'm just going to go to the web page. Come on, load up for me. All right. Oh, of course. Now it wants to load up twice. Because I'm running off of my laptop, I don't keep the actual web browser open, just so that I can keep my um, drop frame rate down. Let's see. Would it be under channel? No, it's not going to be under channel. It's going to be under dashboard, I think. So you'll have to forgive me. I am still learning this. Oh.
World full of same.
Why am I watching a ad for my own stream? All right. Let's see if I can make this work right. All right. Ooh, here we go. And raid. Hopefully this works. See you all later.
You only get so many firsts in life, Lisa, and this bite of Wingstop is one of them. This is where lemon and pepper get a buttery bath, where 11 flavors each go to 11. Wingstop, where flavor gets its wings.
How was your stream? What were you working on today? Yeah, I tend to do that too, Niku. And while Greek nachos might be tasty, working on Japanese loop braiding. Cool. Very cool. Got stuck on ads for a second. Yeah, that happens to me a lot too.
Oh.
Oh, and for anyone who is more interested in the vintage sewing machine stuff, I did put a whole channel with links and stuff about vintage sewing machines, if anyone needs resources. Picture of the dragon, I assume. Did learn that your Vesta was made in Germany, but maybe between the not before World War I, so before World War II, but not before World War I. Is that what you? I get the feeling there was supposed to be a number after that first set of W's. Okay. But yeah, some of the links that I put in there are specific to singers, but a lot of them are applicable. A number after that first set of W's.